let's get to it. Animorphs number 9, The Secrets. We have 24 chapters this time. Chapter 1. My name is Cassie. I can't tell you my last name. I wish I could. It's kind of a nice last name. And I can't tell you where I live or the true names of my friends. Why? Because the enemy never stops looking for us. The enemy. The Yeerks. They're everywhere. The Yeerks, a parasitic species from a far-off planet. All they are is little gray slugs, really. I've seen their natural state. They're like big snails on a shell. You could squish onto your foot and it'd be helpless to stop you. But the Yeerks don't live out their lives as slugs. Like I said, they're parasites. See, they enter the head of another creature, flatten themselves out, and wrap themselves around the brain. And then they take control. That's what we call a controller. A human who isn't human anymore. Or a member of any species controlled by a Yeerk in their head. Maybe you think what I told you sounds crazy. I guess if I were you, I'd think it was pretty insane, but sometimes even the craziest things are true. The Yeerks are here. Everywhere. If you think you don't know someone who's a controller, you're probably wrong. The school bus driver, the police officer in the patrol car, the minister in the pulpit, the newsman on TV, the rock star in a music video, the person who smiles when you ride by on your bike, any one of them could be a controller. Your teacher, your friend, your sister, your mother, your father, any of them. All of them! And you never know until it's too late. Until it's too late for planet Earth. So we fight them. But we're just a handful of kids. Jake, Rachel, Marco, Tobias, Axe, and me. We have some special powers, but we know we can't win this alone. We'll fight and hope that someday, soon, the Andalites will return and help us. There was an Andalite prince named Elfangor who gave us our powers. He was dying, desperate, he wanted to do something to help doom humanity. He gave us the power to morph, to absorb DNA of any animal we touch, and to become that animal. So, we fight the Yeerks and all our controllers. The human controllers who might have once been our friends and relations, the evil cannibalistic Taxons, the huge centipedes with their open, gnashing mouths and foul smell, and deadly, dangerous, but formerly good creatures called Harpager, the enslaved foot soldiers of the Yeerk Empire. And we fight Visitor 3, the leader of the Yeerk invasion of Earth, the only alien controller in existence, the only Yeerk who, like us, has the power to morph. The murderer of Elfangor, a killer, a destroyer, a creature who makes slaves of all humans and destroy our planet. Unless someone stops them. Unless we stop him. 5 ordinary kids and a young Andalite we call Axe against all the might of the Yeerk Empire. We call ourselves Animorphs. We're only supposed to use the power of finding Yeerks, but there are times when it's handy for other things too. My best friend and I, Rachel, were at school in the dark, gloomy science lab. The final bell had rung, kids are tearing out high speed and racing for the buses of their parents' cars. You know how it is, when the school day's over you just want to be out. But I've been messing up in school lately because I have a busy life. My dad runs a rehabilitation clinic in our barn. I help out there taking care of injured and sick animals. Well, this whole Animorph thing takes up a lot of time. Anyway, I do a makeup project. I built a maze for a rat named Courtney. I mean, I figured an animal project would be easy. I've been more animals than a lot of kids have seen. Courtney is supposed to find her way to the cardboard maze at the end where I place some tasty seeds and nuts. Then I make notes on our progress, so how hard that can it be? Rachel stared at me. She tapped her foot impatiently. She looked down at her watch. She looked up at the clock. You know, school's been out for 10 minutes and here I am, still at school. This can't be right. It's unnatural. Why can't she figure out the maze? I wondered aloud. What's the problem? A stupid rat? Maybe you have a not very smart rat. That could be a subject of your paper. My dumb rat. What's the problem with you? I demanded, ignoring Rachel and talking to the rat. I took Courtney for a cage and stuck her in a high-walled maze. Smell the nuts. Smell the nuts and find your way through. Courtney looked up at me and twitched her nose. That's not an answer, I said. I need this grade. I'm not gonna try and explain a D to my parents just because you can't get it together. A D, Rachel echoed. You're looking at a D? No way. Rachel, why do you think I'm here? Trying to turn an A to an A+? Yes, I'm looking at a D. And I can't bring my parents a D. That means weeks of going, where did we go wrong? We must be failing as parents. We have to spend more time with Cassie and help her every night with her homework. Rachel shuddered at the absolute horror of that scenario. Hey, Rachel said, morph the rat. Maybe you can see as her problem is. I could do that, but if Jake found out, you know the rule, no morphing except when necessary. Rachel shrugged. Well, it's necessary I get out of here. It's necessary you don't get a bad grade. Look at that, 2 necessities at once. I probably shouldn't let her talk me into it. It's actually I've been considering it. That's the great thing. She'll want to help you do into something you probably shouldn't do. You have to do it too, I said. What? Why? Why do I have to morph a rat? Remember that time you went to scare that guy with the elephants? Wasn't I there for you then? Besides, you can't leave until I figure this out. Rachel rolled her eyes. Okay, that makes no sense, but I'll do it anyway. Let's just get it over with. Acquiring an animal's DNA isn't very complicated. All you have to do is touch it, focus your mind, and the animal gets kind of sleepy, kind of dopey. And a minute's over, a new DNA pattern is swimming around inside you. I had the feeling this is a stupid idea, Rachel said. I was piling books to make steps so we could climb the maze onto Mort. Well, it was your idea, Rachel. Oh yeah, my idea. Like, I'm the one who cares how a rat handles a maze. Let's get this over before someone decides to check on us. Already she was beginning to change. I focused my thoughts for a mental image of the rat, and then I felt the change begin. I was shrinking very fast. For a human, I'm not very big. I'm rather short, actually. But I was a lot bigger than a rat, so it was a pretty big change in size. My t-shirt and jeans suddenly very loose. I looked at Rachel, with huge long whiskers growing out of her still human mouth. The size of the cabinets beside me grew higher and higher. They originally been maybe 3 feet high. Soon they were as tall as a 3-story building. The gray and the wood like huge swirling patterns like strange paintings the size of murals. The 1-foot squares of tan and green linoleum seemed to double and triple and quadruple in size, each as big as a parking space. As I shrank, my clothes folded and billowed down like a collapsed circus tent. My skin sort of turned a pinkish gray and spread white fur. My legs were shriveling, my arms were shriveling, my face bulged like a zip out of the pop. My nose poked out further and further, my face became pointed. And then the rat's sense replaced my own. On came the ears like someone had thrown a switch. On came the nose. And then came the rat's instincts bubbling up in my mind and carrying their messages of fear and hunger and more fear. Yikes, Rachel commented. Nervous little things, aren't they? Chapter 2. The rat's eyes aren't much better than mine. In fact, they're not quite as good. Like a lot of animals' eyes are better at seeing movement than colors and shapes. Nothing was moving, so my vision was kind of dull. I could see Rachel well enough. We were made from the same rat's DNA, so we're basically the same rats. I could see her long pink tail. The tail is the reason people hate rats, but think squirrels are cute. That plus the fact that rats learn to nibble on humans from time to time. The rat's hearing was excellent, but it was a sense of smell that was amazing. I twitched a little rat nose, the whole world sent me messages. I smelled the chemicals in the cabinets, the aromas of 100 different kids who pass through every day. I could even smell the seeds and nuts up on a table. I felt the rat's brain beginning to surge up more strongly beneath my own. The rat instincts were coming out. Fear, not the sudden sharp fear of a human I feel, the eternal fear of a small animal in a world of big predators. And the hunger of a tiny animal to spend its whole life, every minute, searching for a next meal. But there's also intelligence. When you morph an animal, its instincts come through. You don't get memories, usually, but you do get its instincts. I note the usually there. Personally, I always thought that referred to the dolphins because they seem to know what whales are, at least in dolphin thoughts, even though they, never been dolphins before. But anyway, you do get its instincts. The basic abilities are there. This rat was very nervous. It was afraid of being out in the open. It wanted to be next to a wall so enemies have a harder time attacking. I decided that wasn't a bad instinct. Maybe we should move somewhere safer, I asked Rachel in ThoughtSpeak. Oh yeah, definitely, she agreed. The little rat legs powered up and we took off. Not fast, but it seemed as we were so low to the ground. My nose was a quarter inch above the linoleum. As I walked along huge walls looming over the sides of lab tables, I saw sparse forests of trees, actually a leg of chairs. I scooted along the corner wall with Rachel behind me. This is not an attractive tail, Rachel said. I mean, I'm a rat and I still think it looks bad. Then we saw a table where the maze was set up. Like the real Courtney's there, I checked out the area. I think if we could climb my backpack on a chair to my square, then jump on a tabletop. I'm following you, Rachel said, and lead the way, rat girl. The rat body is amazingly good at climbing and scampering up the tabletop. You wouldn't think it'd be those stubby little legs be good for climbing, but I really do believe it could have gone just about anywhere I wanted. I saw a pile of legs looks I left at the door of a stairway. Now, as rat size, that wall really was a wall. It looked about 9 feet high. You go to the maze, Rachel said. I'll just wait right here. I scampered quickly up over the books. The pictures on the front of my science looked like huge mosaics made of colored tiles. I reached the top and gazed down in the maze. I knew I could jump down those long hallways. At that moment I was afraid. It was odd the idea of running into real Courtney made me nervous. I was always a little felt funny about using animal bodies, like a little guilty somehow. But I had a job to do. I needed to figure out why she couldn't find the nuts. She should be able to smell them. Hey, wait a minute. I can't smell them either. Not at all. Can't smell what? The nuts. I can't smell them. Do I care? That's the whole point. I looked around puzzled and I noticed the breeze. I aimed my rat ears upward. They were a million miles away as the moon was a ceiling fan. If I had lips, I would have smiled. Hey, it's the fan. It's blowing the scent of nuts away. Great, now I can get out of here. I was feeling pretty satisfied by my insight when two things happened at once. First, the Courtney, the real one, came zooming around the corner of the maze. Second thing I heard was a loud crash, loud laughter, and a rushing approach of footsteps. Courtney froze and stared at me. I stare at her, then I look back at Rachel. Rachel's frozen, same as me. "Hey, look, rats!" an impossibly loud voice shouted. A boy, I was sure that. I didn't recognize the voice, but I recognized the tone. He was looking for trouble. "Gross!" someone yelled. "Someone should exterminate him. I hate rats!" Two of them, two boys playing around, two jerks looking for something to break or destroy, two very, very big creatures compared to tiny rats like us. Sudden shadows, vibrations, huge movements, and wham! The table shook as it was hit by a massive earthquake. Wham! Thud! A shadow moving past and descending on me. I jumped! The tabletop ground jumped from the impact as a boy's hand slammed down near me. I felt the maze being lifted. It tilted wildly up on its side. I could see the entire maze now a wall instead of a floor. Courtney fell out of the maze on a table. Now there are three of us trapped on a tabletop. "Here, a broom!" "Bail!" Rachel yelled. "Run!" I cried. Thwack! Something the size of a pine tree slapped at the side of the table. It was a broom handle. The handle slipped across the table, coming right at us, a wooden log half my own height. I jumped. Rats don't like jumpers, but letting calves who they can. Up over the broom handle. Rachel's right beside me. I saw Courtney hauled in the other direction. Run, run, run. Rachel and I moved to a top of rat speed. The edge of the table. It was like sitting on the edge of a 4-story building. It looked like a very long way down. There was in a shadow, a disturbance in the airflow. No time to look, no time to think. We screamed and leaped to the edge of the table just as the broom handle slammed down the very spot we'd been standing. The fall seemed to take forever. It was like skydiving. The linoleum tiles were like strange farmlands far below me. I hit the floor hard. My legs didn't catch the impact. They were just too short, but my big furry belly took the blow. It knocked the wind clean out of me. As my mind cleared, I realized the guys were no longer me and Rachel. They had Courtney in the corner. They were jabbing at her with the broom handle. "Oh man," I said. "If we survive, Shake's gonna kill me for this." "I'm tired of running," Rachel said. "Let's kick some butt." Of course, that was classic Rachel. We were about a foot long, counting our tails, so naturally thought we should attack some guys the size of Godzilla. But you know what? I was scared of running too, and I couldn't let poor Courtney get killed. She was more than just a science project. Now she was sort of a sister rat. So I aimed for the leg of the nearest guy. It was the size of a redwood, except this redwood was blue. Baggy blue denim. "Are you thinking what I'm thinking?" asked Rachel. "I'm with you." So we moved our tiny little rat feet and shot forward, fast as we could go, which happily turned out to be fairly quick. Up the pants leg, and we saw a flash of skin above the socks, and I went for it. My tiny clawed feet grabbed on the white gym sock and went straight up. It was like going into a tunnel. The rough denim of the jeans scraped all on my head and back. The pink flesh curved away from me. I dug in my claws from back in the skin, the hair of that huge leg, and shot wildly up the back of his leg. "Ah!" Suddenly the boy was no longer interested in Courtney. "Ah! It's on me! It's on me! Get off me!" The other boy started screaming as Rachel attacked him too. I cried as the leg was thrown wildly back and forth. I slammed against the denim wall. I was slammed back and forth into the curved pink skin. I turned wildly hold on as he screamed and ran and shook his leg like a lunatic. Out of the science lab we tore and out in the hallway with two guys screaming the entire way. I turned myself around great difficulty and aimed downward. Out I shot. Out the pants leg to freedom. Unless I saw those two, they were still running in panic. I never did see Courtney again, though. I guess she found some place to live in the school walls. At least I figured out why she wouldn't go through the maze. Rachel found a safe place to demorph and went to her house and gave her little sister a home perm. Business as usual. Chapter 3. That evening, everyone came over. We should hook up at the Wildlife Rehabilitation Clinic, also known as my barn. I guess we'll get together once or twice a week, more often when there's a mission of some sort. I was surprised when Jake called to say we could get together because it's only been a couple days since his last meeting. As far as I knew, nothing serious was planned. I hope this was only a meeting, nothing else. I had like zero spare time. School, life, that stuff takes time, you know? I was cleaning cages and here started to arrive. It was a raccoon cage, to be specific. The raccoon had hit by a glancing blow by a car on a highway. Aww. A lot of the highway patrol guys know calls they see an injured animal. He'd be okay thanks to my dad, but in the meantime be fed and watered and medicated and the cage would be kept clean. And that was all my job. Good. Care for Coon. Care for him. I was wearing dirty overalls and big tall rubber boots. My arms were deep inside rubber gloves when Rachel showed up. "Hey Cassie." "Hi Rachel." I was bent over, concentrating on wiping out the raccoon's cage. I could see he was seriously concerned leaving my face and chewing my nose. "So Cassie, you can get that outfit Banana Republic or it's a new Express line?" Rachel and I are best friends. They're very different people. If you saw Rachel, you might probably think a typical airhead mall crawler. But then you can take a closer look and think, no, she's actually very beautiful, not typical at all. And then you take a third look, she'd probably come around and get in your face and say, "Hey, what are you staring at? You have some kind of problem?" Rachel's tall and blonde and beautiful and fearless. She's Xena Warrior Princess, only not the leather. One of the most mismatched best friends in history. She'd go off for the mosh pit at Lollapalooza on a rainy day and come out to our side like one of those models in glamour. I, on your hand, would show up in my own wedding dress and with jeans and boots and socks that don't match one day. I stood back from the raccoon cage. I smiled and gave a little twirl so she admired the outfit. "You like it?" It's part of the animal poop collection. Someday I'm gonna knock you over head, stuff you in a big bag, drag you to the mall, and force you to buy a dress. You can keep the boots if you insist, but we're getting you a dress. You're kidding, right? I asked Rachel. You can never be totally sure with her. She just smiled with 10,000 bright white teeth. I heard the sound of bikes being leaned against the side of the barn, and I heard male voices. Batman could beat Spider-Man? You expect me to take that seriously? Are you insane? I thought I knew you, Jake, but you're obviously an idiot. No offense, Spider-Man would just annihilate Batman. Marco saying serious as Marco is capable of sounding. 2 words. Body armor. His webs will not stick to the body armor. Homer, stay out here, boy. You can't go in. That'd be Jake, and his dog, Homer. Homer's not allowed in the barn. Being a dog, he believes small animals are meant to be chased. For the record, Jake is wrong. Spider-Man would absolutely kill Batman. Just absolutely. But anyway. Jake and Mark came through a small side door of the barn. Jake was in the lead as usual. If we have a leader, it's Jake. He's strong inside and out, and really good looking. Also inside and out. I mean, he's just an amazingly cool guy. Jake had nothing to go up a lot in a very short time. It's weird to be a kid but act like some kind of general or something. We all decide to big stuff together, but when we're in a fight, it's Jake who makes the little decisions. The little decisions they leave one of his friends dead. When he smiled and realized Jake is still enjoying absurd moments with Marco, I started worried about the pressure on him. Jake and I are kinda, you know... we like each other, as in, like. Marco was just behind Jake. He was smaller than Jake with longer, darker hair, laughing, dark eyes, and an attitude. He thinks the whole world is set up for a joke. He'll tell a joke when he's bleeding and terrified and in pain. There are times when his eyes with a skeptical expression grow glittery and dangerous. Cassie, Marco said, you look beautiful as always. Your use of manure as a fashion statement is so tasteful. Then he glanced at Rachel and winced. Yikes, every time I see you get taller. Stop it! Stop growing! Rachel patted Marco on the head. Don't worry, I don't look down at you for being short, Marco. I just look down at you for being you. He grabbed his chest pain. Ah! And Xena puts another spear in me. Hi, Jake. I said no unusual Marco versus Rachel stuff. Hi, Cassie, he said. He gave him one of his rare, slow smiles. Well, hey, I heard this weird story. These 2 guys at school claim they were attacked by a pair of lab rats. Really? I didn't hear about that. Trying not to make that fake shrill sound make when I'm always lying. Or always make when I'm lying. Jake raised an eyebrow and quickly went back to cleaning out the cage. What are we here for? Rachel asked bluntly. Jake shrugged. Tobias told me to get everyone together. He and Axe have something. During Q, we heard a flutter of wings. A hawk shot in over and hayloft above. It turned sharply, killed its speed, and swept its talons forward, laying neatly on the rafter. It was a red-tailed hawk, mostly brown in the back, a lighter mottled green and tan underneath. The red took its name from the tail feathers of the color of rust. The hawk glared down at some unbelievably intense brown and gold eyes. Hi, the hawk said, a sound voice we only hear in our heads. Hi, Tobias, I answered. Tobias is the 5th human member of our group, although he's not really human anymore. If you stay more than 2 hours in a morph, you stay forever. In his mind and heart, Tobias is still human, mostly, but he has the body of a hawk. He lives as a hawk. Hi, Tobias, Rachel said. Thought maybe you stopped by last night. Tobias sometimes hangs out with Rachel. He flies upstairs room, watches TV or reads, things he can't normally do, human things. Well, I was going to, but there's this thing with Axe. Axe is Axomi Iskaroth Ishtil, the 6th member of our group. He's even less human than Tobias because he's an Andalite. Speaking of which, is he coming? Jake asked. No, he's still keeping an eye. 4, actually. What things? Marco asked, and I'm impatient. Tobias stood down to be closer. He landed atop the ledge of the stall door and checked out the many cages. And only had, in addition to a raccoon, fox, 2 wolves, a handful of various bats, a really cool porcupine, a pair of jackrabbits, a deer been mauled by a bear, several doves, a goose, a swan Saget, a whole group of assorted gulls, a beautiful red and winged blackbird, and a barn owl. What happened to the golden eagle? Tobias asked. He's all better, so we released him, I admitted. You see, golden eagles occasionally kill hawks. We released him back to hills, though. Nowhere near your territory, Tobias. He didn't look happy, but he had a hawk's face, so I never looked anything but fierce. Once he'd been a very sweet-sided Adobe kid. Jake and I met when Jake stopped some boys from sticking his head in the toilet. Or Jake and he met. Anyway, I have something to report. Looks like someone's getting ready to start logging the forest. No way, I cried. The others were less upset. So, Marco asked? So habitats be destroyed, animals be made homeless, old growth trees be chopped down to make plywood. That's so what? Marco frowned. And I care about this. Why? I started to answer, but Tobias cut me off. You don't care, Marco, but you might care about who's doing the logging. Well, I'm guessing a logging company, Marco suggested. Yeah, you're right, only they built a command center deep in the forest. A log building, actually, like you'd expect, except for one little thing. What little thing, Jake asked? Well, you see, the building's protected by a force field. A force field seems to stop anything gets near. I tried to fly close, it's like hitting a wall. And there are armed guards walking the perimeter, and they're patrolling up and down the access road. Oh, Jake said. Guards armed with automatic rifles. Yerks, Rachel wondered, but why would they want to be logging in the forest? I knew the answer to that, and their plan was all too obvious. They want to destroy habitat, I said. What, now they want to destroy the deer and the owls? Marco said with a dismissive laugh. No, it's not owl habitat they want to destroy. They're after different species. Yeah, Tobias agreed. They're going to want habitat have a very, very endangered Animorph. Chapter 4. The Yeerks are right there in our forest. Fine, Rachel said with her usual enthusiasm. Let's go take a look. If this is a Yeerk operation, be careful, Margaret said. They're expecting us. Expecting us, Tobias said. He nodded. Look, they believe we're being Andalites, right? They think only Andalites can morph. They figured out the forest is the only place we could be hiding, because let's face it, if we were Andalites, we wouldn't exactly be able to rent an apartment. I did run the thought on that, just see if that could be something they could do. Hypothetically, they could get human identities and possibly get the money to pay for an apartment, but it wouldn't be easy for sure. Especially if they're starting with, well, no identity. So frankly, it would just be easier to live in the forest if there's a convenient one nearby, like there seems to be for them. So we'd be in the forest, just like Axe is right now, Jake nodded. They want to use the logging operations as a way to go Andalite hunting. Right, which means they think we're out in the forest, so they have to be prepared for an attack. They're going to be totally ready for any strange group of animals to show up. I agree with Marco, but there's another question that's bothering me. How do they get permission to cut trees in a national forest? Oh, it's a national forest, okay. Marco rolled his eyes like I was being an idiot. Who cares? The fact is they did. If we're going to take a look at this place, we can't show up as a big group, Jake said. We split up going two, different morphs. We see what we see, but we do nothing. Agreed? Everyone nodded. Okay, so if it's okay with everyone, I'll go with Rachel. I'll morph the Peregrine Falcon. Rachel, you can morph your Bald Eagle. Tobias will show you the way. That's a lot of excellent eyes, look things over. Cassie, you go with Marco, get a different perspective. Why can't I go with Rachel asked? It's not that I don't like Marco, he just grinds my nerves. Because you and Rachel just egg each other on, Jake said. He knew about the rat thing. He definitely knew. Still kind of bothers me. Oh, you mean like you and Marco egg each other on? He and I gave me a wink. You could say that. Exactly. 10 minutes later, Marco and I were walking across the far fields of my farm, waiting for tall grass toward the edge of the forest. The forest is huge. It reaches all the way up to the mountains. Thousands, maybe millions of square miles of pines and oaks and a scattering of birch trees slope down from the mountains all the way to the edges of town. Our farm is right on the edge. Lots of farms are, and some new housing developments and so on. It was a clear evening, so the mountains showed pink and lavender in the setting sun. There was a cool breeze low with the smell of wildflowers. Two of our horses were grazing off across the field by the fence. It was a safe area, so we let the horses run free at night in nice weather. Of course, now wolves are being reintroduced to the forest, it might change that. A wolf pack can bring down a healthy, strong horse. I know. I've been a wolf. And I was getting ready to be one again. We reached the edge of the forest. It began very suddenly. One step was grass, next some pine needles and fallen leaves. It was darker under the trees. As we walked into the forest, it grew darker still. I craned my neck back. Looking up, I could see the blue sky overhead, but the sun was going down and night was growing near. Creatures of day were winding down their activities, and creatures of night were opening their eyes. May as well morph now, Margaret said. You'll be faster than wolf morph. He grinned at me. Does that ever creep you out? All the morphing, I mean. I still remember the first time. It was so bizarre. It's still bizarre. Even for you? Why not for me? She shrugged. Well, you're the morphing queen. I laughed. Oh, please, we all morph. Yeah, but even Axe says you have some sort of special talent, like you have more control. He said you're even better than he is. That doesn't make it less creepy. I mean, we're in a forest, sun's going down, and getting ready to turn to a wolf. This could be a horror movie. Wolfman. Wolf woman. The wolf couple. We shoved our clothing under some bush and began to morph. I focused my mind on a wolf whose DNA is part of me. Margaret and I are actually the identical wolf. It was absorbed DNA of a female. The same female. I felt my jaw stretching and stretching outward. The bolts made a slight grinding sound as my small, weak human mouth with the powerful, crushing jaw of a wolf. My mouth and teeth could barely cut through a tough steak. The wolf jaw and teeth could tear out the fur of a living, struggling deer. My gums itched as my teeth grew longer. Straight? That's what I mean, Marcus. I tried to make sounds and his tongue and lips disappeared. If you were saying so, to switch to thought speak. That's what I mean. Look how much better you are at morphing than I am. It looks really creepy, by the way. I controlled the morphing so the wolf's head appeared before anything else. I was completely normal with just the downiest growth of fur and a massive, shaggy wolf head. I didn't really think much about it, so I told my brain just has its own ideas. The rest of my morph continued. My knees reversed direction, my legs grew smaller, rough pads replaced my feet. The fur all on my body grew long and rough and grayish. I fell forward, my front legs no longer able to stand. The wolf's instincts came to surface, but I'd done this before, so I could handle them easily. The senses came on and replaced my human perception. The forest is entirely different to a wolf. It was as if I'd been transported instantly to some different place. My ears had noticed almost nothing. A bit of wind, a few chirps, rustling of leaves, but the wolf ears heard everything. They heard some large, 4-foot animal about 100 yards to the right. They heard the squirrels gnawing acorns in their high nests. They heard insects crawling beneath the pine needle floor. They heard cars on a distant road, and the ears are nothing compared to the sense of smell. Let me put it this way, in terms of smell, humans are blind. We smell nothing. Maybe we smell a flower if it's under our nose, or a cake baking in the oven, but we're the morons of smell. Wolves are geniuses of smell. You have no idea at all what it's like to have that wolf nose. Ah, I cried in shock. Yeah, Margarita, I've forgotten. Wow, hello. It's like being blind, it's also being able to see. The wolf smelled the horses in their field. They didn't just smell they were horses, smelled they were fully grown and healthy. The wolf smelled every flower, every tree, every leaf, every mushroom. It smelled water in 3 different directions and knew which stream was the sweetest one. The wolf smelled a chipmunk, a dozen squirrels, vole, rats, mice, deer, a dead sparrow, raccoon? No, 2 raccoons. And it smelled me. I mean, it smelled my scent from a clothing I just morphed out of. It smelled the scent of all the birds and animals in my barn I touched or even walked near. It smelled things that were 3 days old. The human who walked through his woods days before. The other wolf and old male who passed by. The smell of dogs and cats and trash. And one very odd smell I realized had to be a sense of an andalite. Axe. When he put it all together, a sense of smell and a hearing that the entire world was crawling and seething, exploding with life. Cool, Marco said. Way cool, I agreed. Let's go. Let's run. Wolves like to run. Chapter 5. Wolves can run. They can run all through the night without stopping or slowing or taking a break. We ran, Margaret and I jumping fallen logs, swerving through trees, skirting patches of thorns, across sunset-lit meadows, through dark strands of tall pines. We splashed happily through streams and skirt along rocks. We were running on sensation, our heads swimming with smell and sight and sound. There was nothing within 1,000 yards we didn't know about. We were plugged in a data stream of nature itself. We smelled the log camp long before we reached it. We heard the sounds of machines, the murmurs of conversation, human voices. Then we got reminded we're not the only hyper-alert predators. Is that you guys? The off-speak voice asked. Jake's voice. Yes, where are you? I asked. Way above you, Jake said. I laughed. I stopped running, craned my neck up. I was going to howl at the moon. There was a break in a tree, saw a patch of sky, and way up above that I saw 3 tiny black dots. Tobias and Jake a quarter mile up. Even the weakening light they'd seen from clear up the bellies of the clouds. It's just ahead, lots of heavy equipment, guards, but go take a look, just be careful. We'd hang out, but the sun's going down, we won't be able to see much more anyway, Tobias remarked. You saw us, said a bit grumpily. Tobias laughed. Yeah, but you're a pair of big wolves, that's not much of a challenge. Now that flea crawling by your ear, you can't see a flea. Tobias answered. Can't I? Marco and I started to move forward again, but slower before, more cautiously. With the trees we began to see light, artificial light. We crept nearer, and shoulders hunched, heads low, ears aimed forward, sniffing the wind for clues. The command center building was bigger than it looked at first. It was made of logs like kind of a rustic ranger station, 2 stories tall with a porch on the front. On the back and side ground levels were no windows, none at all. There were windows on the upper level, but they were dark, too dark to see through. There were blindingly bright spotlights mounted on the building. The forest had been cut back 100 feet or so on all sides of the building, and the bare, scarred earth all around was lit as bright as the sunniest day. A dozen or so huge pieces of equipment were parked nearly side by side. Earth movers, oddly shaped cranes, trucks, some monsters like a huge kid's toy. I guess it's used to cut trees. My heightened wolf sense noticed several men walking around the perimeter of the clearing. Their space about 50 yards apart, seemed very alert. The nearest one was walking just in front of us. Mark and I crouched low behind tree trunks and stood perfectly still. He wore a tan uniform, the leg of his pants were turned to high-loaded boots. He's carrying an automatic rifle. Okay, that does look a bit extreme for a logging camp. That guy's no lumberjack, I said. I aimed my ears to the building, but no sounds came from inside. Either there was no one in, or they had soundproofed the place very well. Are you getting anything? Marco asked. Not from inside the building, but I'm smelling stuff. Weird smells. Me too. Animal smells, but weeper, you know. Harkbajir? Could be. The guards are all human. You know, it's maybe not into a Yerks. Maybe they're whatever they are, something totally different. I mean, normal humans do act strange. Not every weird person's a controller. Yeah, but don't forget the force field. Even if they were drug dealers or something, I don't think they have a force field. Good point. I fell silent and I heard a noise. Several. Movements. Careful, stealthy movements. I glanced at Marco. I saw his ears pick up too. Yeah, I heard it too. Behind us, someone circling around. I felt the knife edge of fear. The human part of me was afraid, but the wolf was not. But I trust the human instinct more on this. Where are the guards? Uh-oh. Suddenly there's blinding light everywhere. The whole world was brilliant white. I felt the whole universe could see me. Blam blam. The sound of a sharp cracking explosion in the trees above us. I glanced up and something was falling. A net! Big steel nets were exploding from the trees above us, falling down. There were heavy weights on the edges. Run! We bolted and the net above me fell. I was racing a falling edge and free. The net scraped my back, but I was out from under. Then a brilliant stab of red light shot through the dark upper windows of the log building. The beam hit the base of a tree not 6 inches from me. The wood was vaporized. A 6-inch hole was blown right through his trunk. Dracon beams. I started to run, but something felt wrong. Marco, where was he? I turned and looked back. He was under the net. He was way down, crawling on his belly to get free, and I ran back. The Dracon beams on his pale and brilliant floodlit woods fired again and again. I grabbed the edge of the net in my jaws and lifted it up. It was shockingly heavy. No wonder he was crawling. Get out of here, Marco yelled. Don't get killed for me. Shut up and come on. I couldn't hold the net. My jaws raking. My neck was dragging down. Marco was barely inching forward. The beams were getting more and more accurate. And I saw the guards disappear through the rain sort of woods toward us, half a dozen carrying automatic weapons. There was an eerie, terrifying silence they cast against shadows on the treetops. Then, something fast. Faster than a wolf, faster than a human. Like a deer, like a horse, a mouthless face, eyes on stalks, a tail like a scorpion. A creature like nothing that lived on Earth. It raced toward us. Axe, I cried. His tail struck faster than a human I could follow. It made sparks that sliced through the net, leaving a long gash in front of Marco's nose. That was a little close, he said, but he searched for the hole in the net and took off. I was right behind him. Wolves are very fast when you get a scared wolf and a scared human mind in sight. You'd be amazed how fast it can move. We hold our butts out there with Axe right beside us. Then there was gunfire. Good old-fashioned, human, very deadly gunfire. It was much louder in reality than it is in the movies. It was much scarier to have it aimed at you to see it in the movie. Basically, each shot is absolutely nothing like a movie. Ah! I yelled. Ah! Marco yelled. Ah! Axe agreed. 2 woods and I set a new record for speeding away from that place.